Hi there, warm welcome. You're watching Blueprint Explosive Exclusive and I'm Meghna Deka. Well, be it the Sandesara Brothers, Nirav Modi or be it Vijay Mallya, all of them have one thing in common. They all have been tagged economic offenders in India, or in simpler terms, loot and scoot brigade. Those who have allegedly looted investors and banks in India and have fled the nation, never to come back, and yet living it up in luxury offshores. They're living in the lap of luxury, but they're accused of having looted India. But what if I tell you that there is a golden ticket now for looters, as they've been called, like them, that they get to pay a small fraction of the vast, sprawling wealth that they have and get a get out of jail free pass, that they can skip every case against them if they pay up. They may just get a legal option to now pay a fine, quash all criminal proceedings against them. Simple. So if you're rich enough, you may just get the right to defraud, we ask. We ask you this question today because of a writ petition which have been filed by the Sandesara brothers, Nitin and Chetan. This writ petition had been filed in the Apex Court in the year 2020. The Supreme Court has now agreed to drop all criminal proceedings against the two brothers in the multi-crore bank fraud case. And that too, if they pay a small fraction, only 1/3 of what they allegedly defrauded. Well, let's start at the beginning and tell you all about it. Let's do the math behind the alleged loot. Well, the allegation against them is that of duping the banks of about $1.6 billion. There you have the numbers. That's the amount that they have allegedly defrauded. The Supreme Court has agreed that if they pay 550 million, this is what they have defrauded allegedly, 1.6 billion. But Supreme Court says that if they pay only 1/3 of this amount, which is 570 million, 1/3 of the settlement amount by the 17th of December, then all criminal charges against them will be dropped. Remember, Sandesara brothers fled India in 2017 after the CBI filed an FIR. But what is the math behind this fraud? Well, let's understand. Here you have it on your screens. The CBI says that the amount of bank fraud, remember there are different kinds of fraud. We are looking at only the bank fraud that the CBI was looking into. The bank fraud by the Sandesara brothers allegedly is that of 5,383 crore rupees. This is there in the CBI's FIR. Following which, there was an ED also which looked into this, and they did their probe, their investigation. In 2022, the ED had said that based on the initial fraud, there was proceeds of crime which was generated, which was above 14,690 crore rupees. ED in that same statement also said that they have also attached properties to the tune of 14,353 crore rupees. Remember, all these allegations have been denied by the Sandesara brothers. They have denied this, but this is what you have when it comes to numbers. So let's tell you a bit more about the Sandesara brothers and when things started to go downhill for them. Well, it all started when they founded Sterling Biotech Limited, which was in 1985, when they founded their company. Following which, in October 2003, they also then managed to file, then they had actually set up the second firm as well. And then later on, you had the CBI which set up a case against them, which was for defrauding the banks. They had set up the Sterling Oil, which was headquartered in Nigeria. And it was only in 2017 when the CBI filed the first case against the brothers. It was right after that that the Sandesara brothers left for Nigeria on Albanian passports. They haven't returned since then. In 2020, there was an offer which was given to settle to end these proceedings. And finally, the order has come now, and that is the 17th of December timeline to pay 1/3 of the entire fraud amount, alleged fraud amount that they must pay. But first, let's take you through the observations of the top court. I'm going to read it very clearly because now there are several others like Nirav Modi, like Vijay Mallya, who may wonder, what about us? So this is what the Supreme Court has said. Listen in very carefully. They have said in one of the observations, if the brothers pay up 5,100 crore rupees due to the banks, then if the payment is made on or before the 17th of December, the purpose is recovery of the public funds. That continuing criminal proceedings will not serve any purpose. That directions have been issued in the peculiar facts of this case, only in this case, mind you, peculiar facts of this case alone. It should not be treated as a precedent. The Supreme Court very categorically has said that. Now let's take you through the Sandesara files and tell you just how the court recorded the detailed financial figures, noting that while the FIR alleged that there was 5,383 crore rupees alleged fraud, the one-time settlement amounted to 3,826 crore rupees for Indian companies. This is the division of it, and roughly 2,935 crore rupees for the foreign guarantor companies. Well, this essentially means that if you add this figure and that figure, that is the figure that you are going to come to. This essentially means the total settlement amount comes to this, which is 6,721 crore rupees. Now, the deposits already made by the Sandesara brothers includes a 10% of the one-time settlement payment, which is roughly coming to 614 crores. And there are other amounts also which they have paid, such as the court-directed deposits, so on and so forth. Now, all of this comes to about 2,893 crore rupees of deposits that they have already paid. This brings the overall deposits already made to 3,507 crore rupees. Lender banks now, in addition to what has been deposited by the brothers, lender banks have also independently recovered a lot from the properties and so on and so forth to the tune of 1,192 crore rupees in the proceedings before the National Company Law Tribunal. Now, after adjusting the deposits, the recoveries which have already been made, you're going to add all of that, and then you're going to subtract what has been made already in the term of deposits and also the recoveries. The court has concluded that the remaining unpaid amount is to the tune of 2,061 crore rupees if you look at the larger bank fraud case alone. To this, the Sandesara brothers have offered to pay an extra bit. What is that they are paying? That we owe you somewhat above 2,000 crore rupees, but we are willing to pay 5,100 crore rupees if all the criminal proceedings against them are quashed. So this has come as a big ray of hope for the other economic fugitive offenders. In fact, 14 individuals today who have been designated as fugitive economic offenders as per the 2018 law. Let's remind you, Vijay Mallya, we were talking about him earlier. Remember, he's allegedly defrauded banks to the tune of 9,000 crore rupees. Then there is Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, the PNB fraud case, which allegedly amounts to 13,000 crore rupees. Then you have Jatin Mehta, which comes to roughly 7,000 crore rupees of defrauding of the Winsome Diamonds. Now, expressing disbelief over the top court's decision, there's a senior investigative journalist who has asked some very pointed questions. She has asked, and this is what she says, that the Sandesara family has loads of oil money that they are floating in, that they are thriving in Nigeria. The Supreme Court has agreed to a $570 million settlement in the case. They will pay only 1/3 in settlement. Then why is Vijay Mallya being treated differently? Is it profitable to default only if you have money? To which Vijay Mallya, well, he has reposted this message saying, and Vijay Mallya, of course, is one of the economic offenders as well, saying, fair question. Now let's take you through the claims which have been made of Vijay Mallya. This is something that here on Times Now we've been getting you again and again. But as per Vijay Mallya, let's remind you what he alleges that he's paid back. Well, remember, the loan amount that he had taken and allegedly defrauded the banks over was to the tune of 6,203 crore rupees. The bank fraud claimed by the agency is that of 9,000 crore rupees. So if you take the figure of 9,000 crore rupees is what the alleged bank fraud is, Vijay Mallya claims that he's already paid 14,000 crore rupees. So he is asking, then why are you not letting me get this golden ticket as well? Well, let's go across to legal experts because we need to understand what this means, not just in the case of the Sandesaras, but also as a precedent. Joining us today on the show, we have a very senior lawyer who deals exactly with this, Siddharth Luthra, a senior advocate. There's also joining us Vijay Mallya, a former executive director of Kingfisher Airlines, who is going to tell us what it feels. It's not about the legalese. Remember, for people like Vijay Mallya and the employees of Kingfisher, who still haven't gotten their dues, for them, it's about when will we get our money back. So let me start with Siddharth Luthra, one of the leading lawyers of India. Now, Siddharth Luthra ji, you must explain to us, when the Supreme Court very categorically says that this one-time settlement is due to the peculiar facts of this case, can it really stop the floodgates opening? Is it enough for the Supreme Court to say that it is one-off and not setting a precedent? Will it stop the floodgates from the likes of Vijay Mallya, of the likes of Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi?
So it's very simple. It's a settlement between two parties. Party number one being the accused, the Sandesaras, and party number two being the banks, which are governed by the RBI and the government authorities. This is a settlement which has been clearly blessed by the RBI because the OTS can only come if it falls either within the guidelines of the RBI or approved by the RBI. Otherwise, the government would not have made the offer in that sealed envelope of 5,100 crores. The moment the government makes that offer and seeks to settle it, which ordinarily, these are cases which are rarely settled, the Supreme Court allows them to settle or proposes to allow them to settle with a condition that yes, you can settle, but this will not be used in every case. So it's actually a safeguard the court is putting in. The court has, and I'll just give you a little history.
Right.
If you go back, when you look at the Bhopal gas, initially there was a settlement,
yes,
and the Supreme Court withdrew it. Thereafter, by the 90s, the Supreme Court was allowing such settlements. Then, thereafter, the settlements were not happening. Now we've reached a situation where, acting under Article 142, which is the Supreme Court's extraordinary power, which is only available to the Supreme Court, not to the High Court, not to the trial court, the court can pass such orders, but limited to this case. You put a question, will Mallya or others try it? Yes, they would possibly try it. But for the willing to offer or accept an OTS, give a proposal, accept an OTS, only then can such.
Here, what many are wondering is this, that the CBI in their FIR, they say that the bank fraction, only 1/3, 14,000 crore rupees is the alleged fraud, but they're going to pay only 5,100 crore rupees and get away with it. Is it simple enough to say, if you're rich enough, it's okay to defraud, you'll still get your free jail pass?
So understand one thing. There is a law called the Banking Regulation Act, under which the RBI regulates the functions of banks. The RBI also regulates the functions of non-banking finance companies. Now, those guidelines have allowed financial companies as also banks to take a haircut to collect more of their principal, because the larger amount would be interest upon interest.
Right.
That being the position,
yes,
keep one thing also, which should be very clear to all your viewers, that this is blessed by the regulator. The regulator in India is the Reserve Bank of India, the Finance Ministry. They are the ones who allowed for this haircut to be offered. Now, if the Sandesaras take up an offer offered by the government, then the question is to be asked, it's a transaction between two, but the proposal is between two parties. The court is only overseeing it.
Okay. So why should the court intervene if both parties are in agreement? However, we've seen the stance change, as Mr. Siddharth Luthra very rightly pointed out in the past as well. Vijay Mallya, it may be a possibility, even though the Supreme Court says that this is not going to set a precedent. What happens if Vijay Mallya also gets this kind of a golden ticket? He's accused in a 9,000 crore rupee fraud case. He says he has already paid 14,000 crore rupees. Do you think that it's okay to say that the purpose is recovery of public funds and public funds alone, not really jail time?
First and foremost, Dr. Vijay Mallya owes me nothing. He has cleared everything that was due to me. So that I just want to put it on record.
Okay.
Second thing, Dr. Mallya took a loan of 9,000 crores and I think he has already repaid 14,000 crores. So if
yes,
for 570 million you can let go of $1.2 billion, then I don't understand why somebody like Dr. Vijay Mallya his charges should not be dropped. He's repaid the entire amount and he's going to be prosecuted if he's already repaid the money. First of all, I think that suddenly they realize, let's do a settlement, that also for 1/3 the amount, and all the criminal charges have been dropped. It will definitely start a precedent. So I think by repaying the money or repaying part of the money, I don't think it's right that all the criminal charges should be dropped. This is a way of opening doors to everybody who does a criminal act, robs the banks, decides I'll pay 1/3 and everything will be dropped. So I think the government should have looked into more thoroughly. But as far as Dr. Vijay Mallya is concerned, I think the very fact that the finance minister said very clearly in the parliament that more than 14,000 crores, that means all the money along with the interest has been recovered, then I don't think any cases should be filed on him and he should be allowed to come to India as and when he wants.
Siddharth Luthra, very valid point. If the Sandesara brothers are allowed to pay a fraction of what they own, Vijay Mallya claims that he's paid 14,000 crore rupees when he had only taken, allegedly had taken about 9,000 crore rupees. Why shouldn't he be let off the hook now?
So the question of the regulator, which is the Reserve Bank of India, takes a view that a matter can be settled and consequently they are willing to forego the criminal prosecution which are by CBI, ED or the other
government
agencies.
Can decide.
Then it is for the government and then the court oversees whether it's a fair decision or not, or whether, because remember something, such a proposal cannot be accepted by the High Court. High Courts have limited powers under Section 482. They have powers though Constitutional Court, but not the powers that the Supreme Court has. The Supreme Court under Article 142 has extraordinary powers not trammeled. Only Supreme Court can do it. Therefore, this settlement is taking place under the aegis of the Supreme Court, but it is for the government to accept or not accept in each case.
But Siddharth Luthra, does it sound like justice? Parvez Damania has raised a very valid point. It's not about returning the money. It is about justice at the end of it. It's not about defrauding. It is about the criminal charges also, which are now being wiped out clean.
I'll put it simply.
Absolutely correct.
Who initiates the criminal proceedings? The government does.
The government does.
Now, if the government initiates the criminal proceedings and they take a view, and they take a view that they don't want to proceed with it, that is a perspective. The court only has to see, is this legally or legitimately possible? As I said, this is treated as an exceptional case under exceptional circumstances where the government is willing to let go of the criminal prosecutions. Therefore, once this exceptional case comes in, the Supreme Court has come into the picture only to close the matter.
Parvez Damania, does that cut ice with you? Because you'd have several colleagues as well. Many would wonder, criminal charges are different from just repaying. Is that going to be justice at the end of it if the government decides it though? Even if it differs from case to case?
Absolutely. If you steal from somebody after you're caught, you say, I'm willing to return the money. That doesn't stop the fact that a crime occurred, to put it very, very simply. If this is going to happen, this is going to open a floodgate of everybody who's taken the money, defrauded, run away from India. And then they say, okay, if you're willing to drop, I'm willing to pay this much money and end the case.
But Parvez Damania, the Supreme Court says it's a one-off. Supreme Court has said it's a peculiar facts of this case.
Just a minute.
Parvez Damania.
Something
No, but one off.
Just a minute, ma'am.
No,
Ma'am,
I agree,
want to add
one
something
off,
here.
but agree, I say one off.
Go ahead, finish your point, Parvez Damania.
No, you see, it says one off, but every time a new case comes up, Mr. Luthra is a very big lawyer. He'll understand that everybody will try and use this precedent. No, now once a precedent has been set, while you can pay part amount of money and the criminal charges will be dropped, everybody will try and to work on this loophole. It's
Would you agree with that?
sense.
Mr. Luthra, I'm
Every lawyer
completely
will
out
try
of
to
time. Would you
loophole
agree?
it. This
Parvez Damania is
system
making a valid point. Those living in the lap of luxury, will they now use this judgment to put up their
No.
case?
2 points. One, the law permits offences of cheating to be settled, not offences of corruption. So cheating is legally settlable, number one.
Okay.
Secondly, corruption is not. But this case being not a precedent should not be capable of being used by others. Yes, others, he's right, Mr. Damania, that others will try and fit their case into the fact of the case. But the peculiar thing which I have reiterated even earlier is it requires two to tango. The government will have to be on board to be willing to settle. If the government is not on board,
Absolutely.
they can keep approaching the court because
Doesn't matter.
in any settlement of this nature, the financial institutions, the government have to say, yes, we are willing to accept a haircut. Yes, we are willing to accept the money. In Dr. Mallya's case, that is not happening.
That's not happening
And
yet.
that is the reason Dr. Mallya is overseas and not in India.
Okay, very valid points. Thank you so much. Siddharth Luthra, Parvez Damania, both of you have made very compelling arguments. Though I'd agree with exactly what Mr. Luthra has said, that court is very categorical in saying it is the peculiar facts of this case. But also Parvez Damania has got a valid point. What's really stopping other alleged looters from using this for their own benefit from the laps of luxury they are living in future as well? Without a short break, don't go anywhere.